thank you. Thank you, first of all, to Svenska Rivärden, because if I have a great journey in Sweden, is also thanks to you, the support and the help I got. So I'm always super happy to be part of the family, and I'm really thankful to meet all the time so many interesting and inspirational people. I arrived in Sweden exactly 1 month before Corona started. And I didn't bring it from Italy, just to be very clear, I was super happy. And it was on one hand, of course, a very bad thing, because the job market was completely still. There was no way to get a job. But the good point is that I was in Sweden, so I could be with my husband. And I brought the cats. We don't have kids, we have cats, so he was very happy that I brought them here. And in Sweden, as you know, it was a little bit more free, so I could start to make my own life anyway, because I could meet maybe some people at a cafe. I'm very social as a person. I really don't go along with myself, so I really need to be surrounded by someone else and not to think about me. But of course, the first months were quite hard. So after some time, when I saw that I couldn't find a job in a short time, I took two decisions. The first is to find a community, because for me it's super important to be part of something. It's part of my personality, part of how I am. So I started to join meetings of a Rotary Club, because I've always been into charity and group. I need to be in a group of people, otherwise I'm like, who I am. And then I am alone with myself. You start all over again, and it's just very boring. And that started to, it was just online meetings, but still, I started to be in contact with somebody else. My club is an English speaking one, so it was easy for me to communicate with people. To start to understand the community, how it works in Sweden. Then I studied Swedish, and it took 1 year for me to finish my study journey. But the changing point, I would say, because then my social life was quite good at that point, because I was able to meet people. Then I met other people at the gym. Sport is another big part of my life. And I found that a lot of Swedish likes Italy or Italian, so this was sometimes, the sparkle, like, oh, you're from Italy, I study Italian, we should meet. And I was like, of course, I'm here, just meet. So my social life was quite okay, because I felt that I had connections, meaningful connections, I mean. And I met Multiminds, who is the recruiting company that cooperates with Svenska Rivärden, and through them I found my first job. My first job was really underpaid, not because, it was all legal, not saying, but of course I started from, the lowest level of a career path. It was a 3 months temporary contract, so was it what I wanted? No. Of course not, because I was like 35, 36.
Right.
So I was like, I'm 36, I have studies, I have job experience, and I'm starting from the scratch like I am 19. But still, you need to start somewhere. And of course, I didn't have any experience in Sweden. So I had to start to gain experience in Sweden. And that was one of the best decisions ever, because I then stayed in the company for more than 3 years, because it was 3 months, and then 3 months, then 6 months, then 9 months, and finally I got a contract. I met an amazing boss. Now we are not working there anymore, but we became good friends. So she's a great woman. I had the opportunity to meet a woman that was inspiring me a lot. I started to gain experience. I was learning how is the job and the job market in Sweden. So that was super important. There was another chance for me to meet other people. So I gained other friends that are still friends with me right now. So, anything that you do in a foreign country, I think it's something that teach you. So my advice, I'm no one, but I just think that it's always worth it to just try. We have nothing to lose. and we are superheroes because we left our countries, our families, our friends, our comfort zone. So we have nothing to fear. This sometimes when I think about it, I'm like, okay, but I did all of this, so there is literally nothing, that can stop a person that took such a step. And for me, it's easier because I come from an European country, so I don't have issue with visas, documents. I can go to visit my family literally anytime I want. I see and I heard that a lot of you are coming from countries that are really far. So you are superheroes. Okay, this is the taking point of today because you had a lot of courage. So there is literally nothing that can stop us to do anything. It's just about trying without fear, and we just have to gain. And so now I changed the job. I work, and this is something where I am very bad in my experience. So because I work for an Italian company right now, so I talk Italian every day, the whole day. At home, I speak Italian. My cats speak Italian. So my Swedish is like I speak like a kid of 9 years. Maybe that's my level. And that is something where I am really bad because, knowing the language is a big, big, big plus. Because when I wanted to change job, I was looking, a job advertisements. I was getting some contacts, and then when they were like, "Do you speak Swedish?" You can lie, of course, but then you go to there is something where you cannot really lie because then I was just looking super unprofessional. So I was very straight saying, kind of, and they were like, no, sorry, because job market is really tough. A lot of companies left people outside, and I'm very aware that between me and Johanna Svensson, that is exactly like me in terms of competencies, skills, kindness, whatever. If she knows Swedish and I don't, she wins, okay? Because the language is very important. So that should be a goal for me for 2026. I said it also for 2025. Let's say 2027 probably it will still be my goal. But also because I think that in Stockholm is quite easy to live without Swedish. But then if you want to move somewhere else in Sweden, it is even more mandatory. And knowing the language allows you to read newspapers, to communicate with locals. And also, if I don't want, but if I wanted to change a Rotary Club, for example, I would have no option because all the others in the city are Swedish speaking clubs. So not knowing the local language is a huge obstacle. So I think that is where I am very bad. So I just admit it. Challenges: eating early. I hate when they invite me, but I mean, I've been invited at dinner at 5:15, and I was like, how can this be dinner? No, this is fika. So you need to be open, of course, when you are abroad. But I will never compromise with food time. That is, I'm saying this is where I'm absolutely not ready to be open and change and compromise. Apart from eating dinner at 5, everything else, of course, was quite easy. And sometimes I think that it's just okay to be ourselves. So if I am at a bar and I talk to a person in Italy, you talk, or we were at the market, the street markets in Italy, and people were just like exchanging recipes, but without knowing each other. But they were like, I want your brother. But the brother of my husband said that he was buying artichokes, and he said to the lady that was selling them, I will make a soup. And the person next to him was like, oh, how do you cook it? And you just start to talk, and you become friends, best friends, relative. It's here they don't. But I just try. If I see that they don't want to talk to me, va bene. But at least I try. So because I think that being from different countries, cultures, we bring something. So we can learn from each other, and also I think that the people of the country that is hosting us can, we can exchange with the local communities. So it's just a win-win, when we are ourselves, respectful, of course, When you go in another countries, there are different values, but when the respect is the ground, I just think that we are people. We can come from so many different parts of the world, but we all function in the same way. Everyone wants to feel valued, loved. So, that is being human. And so my approach is always like, I'm a human, you are a human, and we're friends. Then it's okay that we are not friends if, a person doesn't like my approach or what I say, whatever. But it's just about being open. Sweden is an amazing country. The nature is fantastic. The quality of life is amazing. You feel safe. The infrastructure works. So anyway, when I feel maybe a bit sad, I'm like, I'm in a great place. I have everything. So I think it's just also about being aware that we are very lucky because we are doing this experience. So with a positive mindset, and with the thought that we are really doing something great, then it's a good approach to go ahead. So that was just my story, my experience. I don't know how much I talked. I can go ahead forever. Okay. Okay, because I didn't have so just stop me. But
what was your first impression when you moved here?
The first impression was great, actually, because my husband came here for some job trips because he was working for Atlas Copco, also in Italy. And you came in 2016 the first time, and he was like amazed. Sweden is amazing, fantastic. So he came for 6 months, and I came to visit, and it was April. I mean, Sweden in summer is just the most beautiful place on earth. So I was like, and Stockholm is fantastic. So the first impression was really good when I came to visit for some weekends. And when he got the opportunity to move, I couldn't say no because he was so happy that I couldn't ruin and break the happiness. But this is also quite interesting because it took me some time to admit it. But I was working in a very toxic environment in Italy. So sometimes people are telling me, oh, you've been so brave. No. I was escaping. So for me, it was so easy to move because I was like, oh, finally, I have an excuse to leave this horrible place. So probably at the beginning, I was not even fully aware of what I was doing because I was just seeing the goal, like I'm leaving this situation where I feel bad. I'm leaving all of this behind and I will start something else. So I knew already a little bit Stockholm because I came to visit. I had this feeling like, oh, I'm starting again from scratch. Then Corona hit, but okay, that was not planned. I didn't know. So definitely the first impression was good. And because in Italy everyone was like in prison at home, so my friends were like, oh, we are alone, we are, and I didn't have the feeling that I was missing something. So it was easy because then when my friends started to have a social life again, I had built mine here already. So I was not feeling like, oh, but they are going out, they are meeting, I'm here alone, I'm not doing anything, it's so sad. Because at that point, I had my friends here, so it was like, okay, you do your life, I do mine, and we chat about it. That's why I'm saying that actually the Corona, how I lived it here in Sweden was something okay because I could, start to build my network. Networking is definitely something very good. So what you do with the networking events, I think it's great because you never know. A person that you meet totally randomly can have, a job research in the company where they work for, or you can just meet someone that has skills that you don't, and you can learn from each other. So that is absolutely great.
Yeah.
As well.
What is your best advice for a network? Is it to join clubs like the Rotary Club?
For me, it works. To join because it's easy when you join associations, clubs, anything that represents something you like. It can be a school, art, language school, dance school. Because it's easy because you start doing something that is fun for you. So you are engaged to go and to take part of classes or moments. and you have already something to talk about with the people that are with you, because you have already a common ground, and then you can start from there and just grow. But I am. This is about my personality. So probably for an extrovert, it works. This is definitely something that I suggest. And again, something that I feel to suggest myself first is the language, because that opens you a lot of doors, both work-wise and social-wise. So that for me, I think is the top two advices that I humbled feel to share with everyone.
I mean, it's difficult to pick up a new language.
Really.
So could you give it an advice? How did you pick up Swedish in the very best way?
Actually, I think that everyone then starts from their own language. Compared to Italian, Swedish is easier. So I have no excuse that I'm not talking because I don't think that, okay, the accent, whatever, but even when I speak English, you hear that I am Italian. So it's okay. I don't want to sound Swedish. If people understand me, that's my goal. So it's just about, I think, you need to have a base, so study, grammar and rules, and then just talk. Maybe go to Sprock Cafe. There are a lot of Sprock Cafe also for free for expats, because then you can talk with people that that you don't know. Maybe they have a different level compared to yours. So it's a win-win. I could never talk Swedish with my husband, because then we will correct each other in a very rough way.
Wrongly, probably.
Not wrong, because we're not native, but also then you get nervous, I get nervous, it all starts and it becomes a drama. So definitely.
Yeah, sorry.
So that was it from my side.
And do you have any questions? Online, guys? The question? Nicola?
I have a question.
Yeah.
What did you find more or harder when you joined the Spro cafes? Because I feel like there's some, I don't know, initial barrier to go there and sound like you don't know the language or.
No, but I didn't go to Spro Cafe. I studied at the Folkuniversitetet. But if you want to learn the languages, there are a lot of options. School SFE, Spro Cafes. But, overall, I'm not so shy as a person. So I can answer even if it was not a Spro Cafe, but to my Rotary Club, I went all alone. So I went just there saying, hi, Federica, very interested in it. Again, I think that, it's just about finding, not even the courage, but, it's just okay what we do. There is nothing to be shy or ashamed about. And at a Spro Cafe, everyone is there to learn. So, it's just about being conscious or aware that it's everything okay. There is, and sometimes we just think too much about others. I think a lot about others, and then I'm like, I'm not this interesting to people. Why should they talk about me? So having that in mind, that why should people talk about us in a bad way? Maybe they talk, but in a very good way. So just go and live the experience. Worst case scenario, there are people you want to meet again in your life. So it's all okay when you are in a new country, in a new society. It's fine. You meet people, you don't meet people, so it's no worry.
What do you think about the Swedish job culture?
I found something super interesting because I'm taking a course in coaching and leadership, and I found out that my leadership style is affiliative. I don't know in English.
Closer to the Nordic.
Exactly. It's closer to the Nordic culture because it's more, I am more a person that even when I need to relate with people at work or whatsoever, I tend to create connections. So I need to have strong human bonds. And it is easier, this personality, in a Nordic country where the hierarchy is not this perceived, this strong. Because for people it's okay that, you are less formal, scared. While in Italy it wouldn't work this good because people are more hierarchical. They don't need, but the job culture is a bit sick. So you give for granted that your boss is, I cannot say that words, but a very kind person that just gives you directions and stuff. So actually, I fit better here than in my own country. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that was fun. I found out last, and I have to say though that I have worked in multinational companies. So now I was telling to Cecilia in the company where I work for, we have 3 Swedish people. So probably it's them having issues in their own country to work with all these people from all over the world. So probably it's something that I haven't experienced yet, like a true Swedish work environment. I will let you know if it is if my style is correct or not.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Of course.
Do you have any questions here? Or there you go. No? Really,
Fantastic,
thank you.
impressive.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. Thank you.
Sure, and I think I need some notes just so I don't forget. But you will see another version of an introspect person. At a different angle. But as I mentioned, I'm from Brazil. I moved here because my husband Nikos got a job at Ericsson, and it was not a very easy decision for us because it's not a dream from anyone from Brazil to move to Sweden. It's dark, it's far, it's cold, it's somewhere there. But then when we started talking to people, understanding what would life be in Sweden, then we saw that there was a connection to what we wanted to work future, which included basically more work-life balance and also having kids. So that's the plan. I left my job in Brazil and we decided let's go for it and make things happen. So that's the start of everything. And just to give a little bit more context, I'm 32 years old. Don't have kids yet, but I have 2 cats as well, which were brought from Brazil. I'm an engineer, and in Brazil I was working with pricing and revenue management. So it's basically getting numbers and using pricing as a lever to increase profitability. In other words, it can be maybe explaining to people why prices on their favorite products suddenly got more expensive. But jokes aside, I really like this area because it's kind of blends a little bit the analytical part, which I really like, and also some strategic and business decisions. So that's when I came here. That was my focus, to keep on this area. And now just going to this is the beginning, and not the end. It's this today. I work at Mondelez as a revenue growth manager. So Mondelez, if you don't know, maybe you know Mondelez's brand. So maybe you know Haribo, Dime, Oreo, or Philadelphia. And it's been really great. And I'll share a little bit how was the journey from the beginning to where I am now. So I'd say in the beginning, first, it's kind of a bit what to do, because it's easy when you know the language, you know the culture, what are the nuances that it's expected on an interview on a CV. And here I started just doing what I thought was obvious for me. It was just like sending CV, applying for a job, and then adapting the CV for this job description, and that was it. And using a little bit of ChatGPT to adapting a little bit, and that was it. At some point I thought, okay, I'm doing what is that enough. So that's okay. Maybe sometime I'll get an interview, and I got another interview. But then I was not getting any results, and I thought, okay, maybe that's not enough. And I really have to thank my husband, because he was pushing me every time. We have to do more. And what is this more that I was missing? And that was the first thing I realized I needed to do, to build more connections with people. And for me, it's very hard because I'm an introvert, so it's very hard for me to go to an event and say, Carolina, what do you do, and everything. So I tried to find a little bit, and for me it was even harder because I think to have a job kind of meant my independence, my self-confidence. So being unemployed to me was like, okay, I cannot show people because that's kind of my vulnerable point. So when I was going to events and everything, I did not mention to anyone that I was unemployed. So then I started to talk. It was hard at the beginning to, okay, I'm looking for a job. I'm looking for a job. So it was a barrier that I had to overcome to then show people that I'm looking for a job, and then the connections they start to build up. So that's the first maybe big like click that I had is start show up and saying people making people aware, because then maybe one connection might lead to another and everything, and we might lead to something in the future. So that was the first barrier that I had to overcome, which was not easy. And the networking word for me was kind of like a nightmare, because networking, I have to build network. But what is this? Because for me, it was like more, sounds like superficial, transactional kind of, you're doing because you're interested, but what does the people have to get back? So that's why, how do I do this networking? How can I start doing this? And from an introspect person, it was doing my way, because I was not going to events or only joining smaller groups like this one. So it was really good to meet people here. It was a really good door for me to start showing up for myself. It was talking to friends, closer friends, maybe talking to Brazilians on LinkedIn, because there was easier way to get connections. So when I was applying for a job to a company, I go to LinkedIn if there's a Brazilian working on this company that might help me get some connections there. And it was not just, oh, I'm applying for this job, can you recommend me? It was like, oh, I see that now you're living in Sweden. How was your experience here? So I built this network based on curiosity and like more deep, meaningful relationships, not just transactional. So I tried to do this on my way, like internet messaging, and it kind of it didn't up for my job now did not come from this networking part, but it was really important for me to keep myself and following up with people and having some online picas and everything. So that was a really important part for me. And then I started feeling that now I'm doing what has to be done, because even if it doesn't get to a job interview, it gets to a person has the you can a top of mind when someone is looking for someone to fill in a position. And the third thing first thing, start showing up, then building an actual network, and the third thing that I actually tell that, okay, I need to do this is be patient. And I think Frederica also talked a little bit about this, because the results don't come when you start doing it. You have to build like a long-term thing. And it's kind of hard when you try things and you get an interview and then you get a no, and then you have, okay, I have to try again. But I think it's the learning process is asking for feedback, is, okay, what worked this time? What can I do different like next time? And it's not easy, because it's very frustrating when you don't get the results you want. And even though you celebrate the small steps, it gets frustrating, because it's a hard journey. What I try to do to kind of easy this journey is I have 4 things here on my list. I explore the city, start exploring the city. Stockholm is beautiful. There's lots of nature to explore, depending on the time of the year. And my husband is also a very good explorer, so we were doing the best we could to explore the city. Learn Swedish. I also learned Swedish, even though I don't use Swedish today at my work. It was good to make connections. Today I don't use, but I do. I during fika, during lunch, I try to speak Swedish, and it's nice to, even I'm not 100% fluent, I show the interest in the culture, so I feel more part of the society and culture. Contact with others that are the same journey, and this group is amazing. I think it's a supporting group, sharing and exchanging tips. That was really important for our journey. And I love sports, so for me, I had to play volleyball. So one thing I kept in my mind that I had to keep playing volleyball. So I play twice a week. So that is the way, finding things that make this journey a little bit less frustrating, because it is frustrating, but that you can ease and not stop being on a survival mode and maybe being on like enjoy the process, enjoy the learning process of this journey. Yes, I don't know how much time I already. I tend to speak faster than. But to sum up, I would say there are some tips. I think the most important tip I have to give is to build a plan that fits you on your personality. For me, I'm an introvert, so I try to build a network thing according to what I felt the best to doing. But the plan is like doing like a diet. So if you have a goal, if you want to lose 5 kilos or whatever, you have to have consistency and you have to have an actual plan. So once per week, I'm gonna try to find a new contact and try to book a fika, or 2 times per week, I'm going to apply to X amount of job opportunities. I'm gonna have to follow up on this person that I talked about. So it is like really doing a detailed action plan based work, because then you know the learnings, what worked and what did not work, so you can learn from the process and move forward. And I think it's a little bit on the, when I think about the Swedish darkness, it's a little bit this moment. I think it was not easy, but after some time you get. So long story short, after some time I can give the example of how I got my first job here in Sweden. I was at a friend's place, and it happened to have a girl there who worked at an Arabic programming. I don't know how to say this word. And then she mentioned about, oh, it's nice, you have experience, you have a very good resume, but you don't have Swedish experience. You don't have people don't know how you're gonna adapt to this new culture. So I suggest you to do an internship. There's a Young Språnget program that you can apply, and it's normally 4 months contract. It's worth trying. And in my mind, I was like, but it's like sounds an internship, sounds like basic things. But then I applied and I got this internship at Volkswagen Group in Södertälje. It was 4-month contract. Didn't pay very well, but I mean, it is something. And for me, even though it was very like basic activities and everything, I think being in the job market changes everything. You get to understand the culture, how people work, how they interact, the fika culture. You get to understand the flexibility they have between job and personal life. And for me, it was very important on the psychological part, because now that I'm having a routine, I have I'm bringing value to some point, and as I mentioned, to have a job was important to me. It kind of gave more confidence on the interviews and everything. So that even though it was 4 months, that was not my dream job. There was the opening for applying for new interviews and being more confident and being more, okay, now I know what I am, I understand the culture, I know how to adapt, I know what comments to make during an interview that are relevant for this position. So it was really good. So I did this for a 4-month internship at Volkswagen Group. And then this, unfortunately, the timings and the company timing did not help to get a permanent job there. But then I got a temporary position at Modavis, where I work now. And 2 weeks ago, I signed a permanent contract. So that was my journey so far. So even though we have darkness, like now we know that at some point light will come again. And yeah, that's it. How a little bit on my journey. Yeah.
How do you cope with the darkness? Do you have any advice?
I would say that's a hard point. And then this is my second winter. Yeah. Last year I cheated a little bit because I went to Brazil. And this year I'm going to go again in December. So I have a little darkness break. But I think for me, it's getting some really planning. I am a planning person, so I like to do a schedule and exercise. Today I'm going to do something, do a walk during the lunchtime. So now, for example, we got a car recently. I was going by car to work because in Montevideo is on Wednesday, so it's quite far. But now I decided that during this month I'm going to go to take the pendeltåg to walk from the station to the office. It's 2 kilometers, but it's good to have some air and I get some like mentally and fresh air. So I think that's the way that I found to handle a little bit. And for me, it's movement. Yeah. So I found this way to. I like the car, and now I get the train. Yeah.
Have you, during your time here in Sweden, have you ever thought about, I want to go back now to Christmas?
The only on the family perspective, yes,
Yeah.
because I think the family I miss a lot, but I think otherwise, no, I think Sweden is amazing. Yeah, I feel safe here. The city is amazing. I think, and I'm also mentioning my husband again because we have plans here. I think I feel home here, so I like to go back to visit, but for now I feel that this is a place now that I want to build. Very much. Yeah.
But you've learned Swedish quite well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have like any advice?
Yeah, I think for Swedish, so I think for me it was kind of a way to focus myself on these like dark times, and Swedish was a way to. I kind of got motivated by the Swedish, so I really focused on the learning. I took the SIFA course, so if you have academic background, is a good way to this more fast paced than the SFE, and it's I studied a lot, basically listening and trying to get this ball in Swedish, because when you're Swedish a little bit every day, it was the way. So listening to podcasts, even if the beginning was hard, then repeating every day a little bit was the key for me. So it was, for me, I have also to talk a little bit more in Swedish because I understand a lot when people talk. I listen to podcasts and everything, read books. But the speaking is the part that I miss a little bit to practice a little bit more. Mm-hmm. But I think the key is a little bit every day. Yeah, every day.
Do you have any advice for someone who's just come to Sweden and is struggling, like feeling lonely? Make hard back.
Yeah, I would say. It depends a little bit on the intro and extrovert thing. For me, who's an introvert, if I would say, I think you have to find your group, your people, even if it's a small group that you feel comfortable with. So, for example, I know how it is a self-learned and self-understanding how you work. Because for me, for example, I know that I like sports, so I went to the sports at a group. So you find what you like, and Sweden is very good at having groups. So of course, I think I know you find, and even if you don't speak the language, I think most of people speak English. So I think it's and one of the things that I kind of understood from the Swedish culture is that people won't offer you help, but if you ask, they're very happy to help. So I think don't be afraid to again show up, ask the question, and just don't be afraid to show your face. Great advice.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for Carolina? No? Here?
Yeah, actually, I loved to hear your experience, and I connect a bit with what I said, that the human needs are the same. So you are an introvert, I'm an extrovert, but I really can relate with your story, with the feeling of wanting a job because it's important to feel that we have a value, that we are adding value to something. To have kind of a network connection, so I really think that it's key, and I really loved your story. So thanks for sharing. It's super, and you are a cat person, so thanks.
Yeah, thanks. I do the same. When we were talking, I felt okay. That's exactly what I heard. Yeah, thank you very much for
sharing your story here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to both of you.
Thank
You
you.
very much. I think everyone here enjoyed hearing your experiences. I mean, being a company spouse can be hard, but